By 1944, the Kriegsmarine, the German Navy, faced overwhelming Allied naval dominance. The once feared U-boat fleet was being hunted with brutal efficiency. In response, Germany turned to unconventional naval warfare, including the development of midget submarines, small, stealthy, and expendable craft manned by one or two operators designed for short-range strikes against Allied shipping. Germany's most known midget subs included the Biber or Beaver, a tiny one-man sub carrying two externally mounted torpedoes, the Molch or Newt, another one-man design with minimal weaponry, and the Seehund or Seal, the most successful of the group, a two-man mini-sub with better range and seakeeping. These craft were cheap and quick to produce, but suffered from major limitations: cramped conditions, limited range, poor reliability, and extremely high crew mortality rates. While the midget submarines could theoretically strike Allied ships from concealed coastal areas, the reality was far more complicated. Transporting these tiny vessels posed enormous challenges. Rail transport was vulnerable to Allied air attacks. Moving subs across occupied territories often resulted in them being destroyed en route. Launching them into the sea was just as problematic. There were very few suitable spots, and every known port or slipway was already under Allied surveillance or attack. And last but not least, their recovery was nearly impossible. After their missions, most of these subs were left adrift, abandoned, or destroyed, as no safe method existed to recover them without endangering crews or revealing locations. As the pressure mounted, some German engineers proposed a new, radical solution. What if these submarines could move on land on their own? The result of this thinking was the Seeteufel or Seeteufel, a tracked two-man amphibious midget submarine developed in 1944. War isn't won by numbers, it's won by tactics. Uncover the battlefield secrets of the German army in my new book series. Links in the description. This was not a submersible tank, as is sometimes claimed. It had no armor and no guns. It was purely an offensive naval weapon intended to strike shipping, nothing more. The logic behind the design was sound. Tracks, rather than wheels, would allow the vehicle to navigate rugged coastal terrain and beaches. The diesel engine used for surface propulsion would also drive the tracks. Once at sea, the Seeteufel would behave like any other midget submarine, using its torpedoes to attack enemy vessels. After the mission, it could, in theory, return to land under its own power. No dock, no crane, no recovery team required. Only one prototype was ever built, and its initial tests in late 1944 were surprisingly successful. It demonstrated reasonable land mobility and navigational control on both terrain and in water. The idea was promising enough that a series of 3 improved prototypes were authorized, but the war situation deteriorated before this could happen. Had the Seeteufel entered operational service in 1945, its impact could have been significant but localized. These submarines could have launched from secluded, undefended stretches of coastline far from Allied eyes. With no need for external recovery, the operators had a fighting chance of returning to safety. No trains, no trucks, no specialized launching equipment would have been needed. The Seeteufel was still just a midget sub with limited range, slow speed, and very vulnerable once detected. By 1945, the Allies had near total naval and air superiority, making any operations extremely risky. The production capabilities of the Third Reich were in collapse. Even if approved, scaling up Seeteufel production would have been nearly impossible. In the end, the Seeteufel represents one of the many what-if weapons of the Nazi war machine, technically intriguing, tactically sound in concept, but far too late and too limited to alter the course of the war. The Seeteufel was a fascinating blend of submarine and land vehicle, born out of necessity and desperation. Though it never saw combat, it was a clever attempt to solve real tactical problems faced by Germany's coastal forces in the final phase of the war. Had it been introduced earlier or in larger numbers, it might have caused serious disruption to Allied shipping around vulnerable coastlines. But, like many late war German innovations, it was too late and too little. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want to support my channel, check out the PayPal donation link in the description or consider becoming a member. To make sure you don't miss my future work, subscribe to my channel please and press the bell notification button. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.